My name is Chris Nichols. I've been in Toastmasters for about 10 years. I'm a member of 3 clubs. One of them is corporate. The other 2 are just your general community clubs. And one of those clubs I was a mentor for. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences, basically my Toastmasters overall experience. How many people here have mentored or sponsored a club? Robbie.
Yeah, I'm in the process of getting to mentor a club. When they charter, I'll be mentoring.
Awesome. Have you ever mentored or sponsored a member? This isn't much different than that, except you're looking at a bigger group of people. And as you'll see, it's a pretty easy process. First off, let's take a look at what are we going to talk about. Why should we even sponsor or mentor a club? Starting a club, how do we do it? Then what does a sponsor do, and what does a mentor do? We're going to learn about all of these things. Why should we sponsor or mentor a club? Some of it is for our own personal growth, leadership opportunities. At work, we may not have all the opportunities we want to practice our leadership abilities. In clubs, people don't always know what needs to be done. That is your opportunity to help them as a leader. Project management. There are many things that need to be done in a club. There are many, many projects. Setting up a meeting, chartering a club. There are many projects that you can work on whenever you're mentoring and sponsoring a club. Then marketing and selling. How do we get new members to join a new club? This gives you the opportunity to work on those skills. And the other thing is, you have the opportunity to give back to the organization by helping others, sharing with them what this organization can do for them. And the other thing is that Advanced Leader Silver Award. To get that award, you'll need to mentor or sponsor a club. And I tell everybody, get started early on this, as early as possible. Because sometimes it can be tough to get a club started, and it may take a while to get a mentorship. Now let's take a look at what are the basics of starting a club. You do not have to do it all by yourself. You have people that help you. You can have 1 sponsor or 2 sponsors. You can have 2 mentors or 1 mentor. Now the sponsors are going to get that club started, but the mentors are going to take what was started and basically keep that club going for 6 months, a year, and further. Then you have district leadership. The district director will appoint sponsors and mentors. The club growth director will assist the club or the district director. Then you have other leaders, the club extension chair, the demo team chair, that will get those club meetings started and help you. And in a Toastmaster meeting, we need a lot of people. You may have other Toastmasters to help you with this process. Therefore, do not think that you'd be alone in doing this. There are many different clubs that you can start. Corporate clubs. Now, the one thing with corporate clubs is you can have security restrictions. Possibly no one else other than employees can enter the building. You need to consider that. Now, community ones, practically anybody can join those. Then you have advanced clubs. Competent Communication Award may be required. So consider that whenever you're starting a club. Then you have the specialty speech clubs. Off the cuff. You don't know what you're going to walk into whenever you go into one of those meetings. Maybe speaker. But overall, it just makes for an interesting club meeting. And then contest prep, if you want to start contests or be in contests, maybe focus on a meeting that has just those. Starting a new club, the steps. Where do you start? The first person you would start with is the club growth director. And we're fortunate to have the incoming one here with us today. Robbie Lay. And then if you have that contact, you'll want to go out to the D25 Toastmasters website and sign up for the new club lead sheet. And there's some information that's going to be needed for this, especially if it's a business, organization, or church, because some additional research may be needed. These are the types of things that you may want to consider, especially whenever it comes to size and location. If you work in an office and only 5 people work in that office and it's secured, it will be difficult to have a club meeting in that office. Toastmasters generally says you want to have 250 or more employees if you're in a business or an organization, so that as people funnel in and funnel out, you can keep 20 members at least, or that's the hope. Keep 20 members in that club. Then you want to make sure you have adequate meeting times. I know some clubs that can only meet 45 minutes. Is that possible in that club? Are you going to have a room big enough to hold everybody? You need to think of that. Then you need to look at who are the key decision makers. Is the CEO, the managers of the business, going to have a Toastmasters meeting in their office building? You need to have buy-in from the people within the organization. And then you'll use all this information to help build your case if you need to go talk to that leadership of the company. Next, the club growth director will follow up with you based off of what you provided on that lead sheet. And then during this, you need to determine what kind of involvement do I plan on having in this sponsorship? Do I want to be involved in the demo meetings? So consider that whenever you're developing your plan for sponsorship. And then the club extension chair, now it's the demo team chair. We'll set up a demonstration meeting. That gives everybody the opportunity to see how a Toastmaster meeting runs. And in this case, the attendees could be the sponsor, the mentors, other Toastmasters, and the people interested in the club. This is to start kicking off having regular meetings. Then, after this, the district will identify the club sponsors and mentors officially. And the thing to remember with sponsors is their work occurs at the beginning of the club, getting it started. And then the mentors, their role is to, once that baton is handed off from the sponsor, even though the sponsor should be continually involved if possible, is to hand that baton to the mentor or mentors and let them take it the rest of the way. Now the mentors, their ultimate goal is to keep that club strong, 20 members or more, and make sure people know the roles that they need to hold, especially the officers and the other people in the club that have regular roles. Now let's take a look at the detail of the sponsor. As I said before, you can have 2 sponsors per club, up to 2. And their work occurs prior to chartering. And typically they provide the opportunity to have that club. They bring that opportunity to the district to get the club started. And then submit the lead to the club growth director, be involved in the process of getting that club started, and then make sure all the appropriate paperwork is submitted, and then hopefully continue your involvement. You started that club for a reason. Hopefully you'll stay with it. When it comes to corporate support, there's some questions that need to be answered. What is the financial commitment that the club will receive from the corporation? In some cases, they may pay the charter fee. I've seen where they pay the members' fees continually after the charter, along with the members' dues, club dues. But then they may also provide support whenever it comes to materials, like the banner. I know the district sometimes provides the banner.
Usually, we kind of hold it out as an incentive.
It's an incentive. But then the gavel, the lectern, there are other things that make a meeting feel like a meeting that the corporation may be able to provide. And bring that up to the leaders of that corporation to tell them, look at the benefit that you're going to be getting with your employees attending here, help us out. Collecting payments. Which kind of club are you all in? A corporate club or a community club?
Community.
Community?
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of both.
Both? You in 2 clubs? Or different clubs?
2 clubs.
Do they collect payments from you all, or does the corporation pay for you all?
It's a professional organization, so it's, but we we pay ourselves. Really, it's sponsored. And prior to the last PMI change, it meant we got Category A PDUs for recertification. But
they help support you all. But you pay.
We paid. It was more. It's more of a partnership.
Partnership. I know some corporate clubs where the corporation pays everything. And then I know some corporations just start with that charter fee, and then they expect their members to pay the dues. And that's one thing that, as a sponsor, to get that information so that the new members are going to know what to expect. The other thing is to open up a bank account. And there is an EIN number that new clubs will need to have to open up a bank account. It's for a nonprofit. And that could happen after the club charters. So there could be a time period where the club may not be able to open up a bank account. The key is to make sure it's a not-for-profit bank account. Then there's the case where you may not even have a bank account, or there's no thought that you all will have a bank account. I've heard that if all you're doing is paying Toastmaster dues and not club dues, you could probably get by without having a bank account. But there are ways that if you don't have a bank account and you're needing to wait to open that bank account, that you can hold the payments. You can hold the payments with the treasurer or hope to be treasurer, and they can hold on to them. And then the payments can be just sent to Toastmasters International, like I said before, you don't have a bank account. And then there's also the option that if you have a club that maybe sponsored your club, you can share the bank account. So you can get your own bank account, or if they're willing, you can just share. There will be no money coming in, and there will be no meeting without publicizing what is going on. You need to generate interest in the club. And one of the first things is, where's the location? Where are we meeting? To let people know, hey, I want to go there on Thursday night. The publicity that can occur can happen through television or radio. I've never heard a Toastmasters commercial on radio, but I've heard that they've happened. It's interesting. You probably get many members showing up if you could get that. I typically hear of Facebook, Meetup. These are typically what I hear getting the word out to everybody. And then follow up with people. Let them know that we're having a meeting next week. Not necessarily just this week, but we're having a meeting next week as well. It is also great to get people started in working on some of the officer roles. Select temporary officers. Like I said before, maybe that treasurer, or the incoming treasurer or future treasurer, get them used to handling the checks and the materials. Have the perhaps incoming president come up and hit the gavel and hold the basic executive committee meetings. And the other thing is, thank everyone for coming to the meeting. We all have busy schedules. We all have opportunities where we're wanting to grow. Life can get in the way. But just a simple thank you can go a long way in getting that club started. How do you all take a look at publicizing your club meetings?
We do Facebook before. We do Facebook a lot.
Do you have a, oh, go ahead.
Easy Speak and our chapter website, like the sponsoring organization's website. We get to use.
Okay. Do you have the Free Toast Host website?
Mm-hmm.
Not
Do you-
used as much. It's
Not
not
used
used as much to advertise.
But do you have a link to your club website on the Toastmasters.org website? Because
I believe so.
Because I know a lot of people will go to the main Toastmasters page and then try to find that club. Whenever you're sponsoring a club, from what I remember, you cannot put it out there, your club's not out there till it starts. Or can you have
A new club, before they've chartered, will not be on the Toastmasters International website as a club, and they won't be able to sign up for Free Toast Host, but they can start a meetup group.
And that's what we've done in the past.
And we've actually been using a meetup group with some success to gather interest for a new club in South Lake.
Meetup's been a big help to a lot of clubs, and that gets you at least some publicity out there to help the club get started. When you're completing the charter, there are forms that need to be filled out, and this is the site that you would go through to help you. The key is that you've reached 20 members. And you'll need to complete all of these charter form applications. The district will assist where needed. And then you want to make sure that you've collected all the new member fees. Any fees that need to be sent in, charter fees, anything like that, or basically it's the new member fees and dues. Make sure that it all gets sent in. And if you need help with that, talk with someone at the district to help.
I highly recommend that before you send any forms in, you always have the club growth director or the district director look it over and make sure everything on there is what needs to be there.
Right. Like I said before, you're not in this by yourself. You have helpers to help you along the way, and any one of us in this room would help you.
I have a question about that. If you haven't paid your dues yet, how do you get manuals to the people who continue to visit the club so that they can do speeches?
There are a couple of ways that you can provide materials when a club is in pre-charter status, we call. What we've been doing at that South Lake group is we have been printing, you can print, for example, the icebreaker project and hand the printed copy of just those, 4 pages to the person and let them take it home, read it over, prepare their speech, come back, give the speech, be evaluated, and have the evaluation filled out. Then they save that for when they actually get their manual. What's more common in corporate clubs where the corporation is paying the $125 charter fee for them, once that is paid and sent in with Form 1, then Toastmasters International will ship what they call the charter kit to the potential new club, and it has 20 new member kits in it. So at least 20 members can get the kit that contains the 2 manuals. You just want to be sure if you go that route that you never give those manuals to anybody unless they've already turned in a paid member application.
So I know that in South Lake, you guys have been working on that club for a while, and there's people who are coming who are doing beyond the icebreaker. How do you get materials to them?
Well, we're printing those projects too.
Okay, okay, and then they just staple it in there. I mean, that part I get, but you're just, okay. You're just providing that information for
You
me.
don't want to go for a real long time like that, but.
Right, okay, good to know.
That's good questions. Once you've done all this hard work, the charter is complete. It's time for the charter presentation. And the key here is to invite guests, invite the people that helped build this club to where it could get started. That includes district leadership. It could be the higher level people in the organization where you work. This is a great opportunity to thank those that helped and get that club started. And you also want to publicize this where possible. If it's in a corporation, publicize it internally. I know some clubs that they have the company intranet and they will post items on the intranet. They have TVs where they're just announcements that take place on that screen. Publicize it. And the other thing to do is realize, once again, you do not have to do all of this by yourself. Get others involved. If you need refreshments, get a refreshments chair. Decorations, do you need to make sure the room's set up? maybe that potential sergeant at arms could set up the room. And then have a shortened Toastmaster meeting. If that charter presentation is going to take 15, 20 minutes, still have a meeting. Someone may be able to give a speech about how the club went from charter to actually becoming a club. Now let's take a look at the mentor piece. I highlighted or underlined some keywords here. The key things with mentoring: sharing your knowledge and expertise. Some of us have been in Toastmasters 10 years, others it's their first time. As a mentor, it is great to be able to help people through the process, because at one time we didn't know what we needed to do. And it's great to pass this knowledge on. Therefore, whenever you're a mentor, think of this, that you're helping others. Once again, you can have up to 2 mentors per club, and this occurs after chartering. But the mentors can help out while the charter is going on, but to get credit, to start that clock, it's whenever the club charters and the new meetings begin. And your goal too is to ensure that the club is strong and functional. 20 members, people know what they need to do concerning their officer role, all-counter grammarian, the different roles. The goal is that within a 6-month period, and some even up to a year, is to make sure that those club members know what they need to do. And that's the other thing that I mentioned here: confirm that members understand what they need to do. Whenever I start something, I like to finish it to the end. And if there's a loose end, I like to tie it up and make sure that people know what they need to do. The one thing that it was new to me was I contacted our district and said, I'm ready to be a mentor. Therefore, I contacted the district and they told me about a club that was about to charter, and I started attending those meetings. And once that club chartered, I was appointed by the district, and I was put on the application to organize the charter, and they can also send it through email. But the key is, if you're ready to start mentoring, contact the district. Because if a new club is about to start, we can get you on the list. And the other thing is the Get Credit form. That arrives by email. And that was something that was new to me, because it showed up in my inbox. I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. And I started reading, and it says, after the 6 months, have the club charter president sign the form, I sign the form, and then we mail it in. Do not delete the email. I'm sure we could probably get another one, but don't delete the email.
I actually recommend, when you get that email, go ahead and print that form right then and there. Put it in a safe place.
Put it in a safe spot. One thing as a mentor is when you come in, don't tell everybody this is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. The club as a whole needs to decide how they want to have their meetings. Because not everything is standard. What happens in your meeting may not happen in another meeting. Such as the invocation, not everybody does that. The Pledge of Allegiance, especially in corporate clubs, I've had instances where that club is part of a company that originates in another country. And some people may be coming from overseas and participating in meetings and may not feel comfortable doing this, so the club doesn't do it at all. That same thing with the Patriotic Oath. And I'm in a meeting right now where the Best of Meeting Awards, we don't do them. But it's an option, and we may later do it, but right now we do not do it. Do any of your clubs not do any of these?
I'm in a club that doesn't do the Best of Meeting Awards.
They don't do awards at all?
We don't do the oath or invocation, and we don't formally hand out awards for best of the meeting.
Do you announce them?
We do.
Do you announce them that there's no ribbon, or
Right. There's no ribbon.
how about
We
you?
It
do
started
all
easy.
that.
Do you do all of them?
Mhm. We would have anarchy if we didn't give away those ribbons. I'm telling you.
I have one club that does and one that doesn't. You know, I'm a member of 3 different clubs, so.
Yeah, once you get hooked, you pretty much end up in multiple clubs.
And the other thing is roles like Joke Master. Not everybody does Joke Master, but it's an option. The other thing it's key to show the Vice President of Education, what is their role? Where do they get their information? How they plan for a meeting? How's it produced? Basically, do I contact people to try to have them give speeches? If it's a new person, they may not know. And then there's also the club planning software, like Easy Speak, there's Club Scheduler. But on the Toastmasters website, there's a place where you can identify the different tools available. Some people use an Excel spreadsheet. And the other thing to consider too is all the free materials on the Toastmaster website. The Successful Club series, the Better Speakers series. These are all modules to help people become more oriented with the Toastmasters program. And another one that's important is, especially when it comes to focus on the members and guests, is the moments of truth. This is a great way to see if there are issues that need to be resolved in the meeting. And it's basically, can we make our meetings better? It's a great program. I've seen it done several times. And it can really change how meetings work and people's perception of those meetings. Club officer resources. www.toastmasters.org. If it's not on our D25 Toastmasters.org website, you'll generally find it here. And if you can't find it at all, contact district leadership, which is on the D25 website. Contact them, send them an email. The nice thing about the Toastmasters website, especially since they've upgraded it, is all those statistics. They're very good. Did the education award get submitted? You can go out there and see the next day typically on, are members' dues being paid? And the key to remember too is a lot of club business is done online. If you're in the general session today, a lot of business is done online. And the other thing is, if you need to buy materials at the store, the best ribbon, the ribbons, or the gavel, you can go to the store. Membership contests. How are we going to get more members coming into this club? You can have a membership contest any time, but there are specific times of the year where Toastmasters has membership contests. Consider having one of the membership contests. Other thing is promotional strategies. like we've talked before, Meetup, Facebook, the corporate intranet, flyers to corporations. If you have you can have a booth at a convention center. If you need more ideas, contact the district leadership. They may have things that we hadn't even thought of. It's important to retain members. As new members come in, they need guidance. And those longer-term members help provide that guidance. The key is to retain not only the new members, but those that have been with the club 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Because as those people that have been members for 5, 10, 15 years move off somewhere or no longer able to attend, you've once again handed that baton to those new people so that they can keep the club going. And it ensures a strong leadership base. Most of the people that have been in the organization for 10, 15 years have a pretty good idea of how the operation runs. And if you have a few of those people in with the new people as an officer, it's going to make that leadership team so much stronger. And then the last thing is, concerning membership retention, everybody's really responsible. Greet the guests. Make sure people feel welcome at meetings, whether they've been there 10 years or 5 minutes. I have this infinity symbol because I think member retention, it never ends. It's always continuous. It's a continuous process. The other thing is to keep people, they like to be recognized. Especially those newer members, the icebreaker speech, we will typically give icebreaker gum or mints just to make the meeting special. And then publicize it to tell everybody, hey, this person received their CC or their DTM. Especially, and also as they've competed in contests. That's hard work. Let people know what they did. In the education program, to a new person, this could seem confusing. Make sure people are knowledgeable about the education program. And there's a successful club series, the Toastmasters education program. Perform that frequently. And concerning the Distinguished Club program, building that club from 20 members and also completing awards. Focus on the membership goals. People have goals. Where are you wanting to go? Are you wanting to complete your CC in a year? Find out what people's goals are. And then also learn how can we become a distinguished club. I said with that successful club series, there's ways to present that. And it's good to present it at least once a year. And display a wall chart or send an email out telling everybody where they're at. And then also complete a club success plan. This helps the club plan out where they need to go for the next year. Help determine, are we going to meet 10 goals? And what can we do to meet those 10 goals? To conclude, we covered why should we be sponsors or mentors in a club? How do we start a club? There's many steps that it takes. And then what does a sponsor do, and how is that different than a mentor? We've covered those things today. And if you have more questions, contact any of us. I said my name is Chris Nichols, and Robbie Lay, Jody Sanders. And then if you would like be a mentor or a sponsor, ta-da! Come to the web, go to that website, Help Wanted. And there's, if you want to hold other roles, there's other things that you can look at concerning the Help Wanted. And then just send an email out to helpwanted@toastmasters. Or d25toastmasters.org. And we will get you on your way to mentoring and sponsoring